What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Friday, May 6th. So we actually have a bunch of big news. Today is a big day because the new jobs report did come out. We know our new unemployment rate, which, no surprise, it's unchanged. We're also going to talk about a little bit of a stimulus update today, and I want to dive into our chicken, egg, and grain shortage that we are expected to see very soon. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. All I ask is just spend 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button, and also make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update. But let's get right down to it. So here's what we know. Our new jobs report came in this morning. We are now sitting at a 3.6% unemployment rate. Good news is we had 428,000 jobs that came in, but only 400,000 were expected. So, good news there. Now, here's one of the things that I really want to touch on. Average worker hours remain unchanged. This is pretty big, and this is very important because what we've been seeing is there are still 11.5 million open positions right now. So, what employers are telling us is that employees are having to do multiple positions. However, the average worker hours remain unchanged at 34.6. The expectation was they would be at 34.7. So they would be going up, meaning people would work more, which essentially means they would make more money. However, that didn't happen. However, one thing that did happen is our average hourly earnings went up by 0.3% month over month, which annualized is 3.6%. That's not bad. However, year over year, earnings are up 5.5%. The problem is inflation is currently at 8.5%. So we are not even keeping pace with inflation as far as earnings. This is why the American people are being hurt so badly when they go to the grocery store, when they go to the gas station, or anywhere where they would spend money. Now, here's the good thing though. The good thing is that we are not seeing a wage price spiral. That was the worry that the Federal Reserve had just a month ago. Actually a little bit longer than a month ago. They were worried that we could potentially see a wage price spiral where wages go up, and then being that wages are up, businesses feel that, they can raise their prices, and as their prices go up, right, then we see more inflation, we see the American people get worried, and then they ask for additional raises, and it keeps going up and goes back and forth. Right now, we're not seeing that, so this is good news. Now, the labor force participation, though, is still a concern that the Federal Reserve has. There are still 1.9 jobs for every one unemployed person, and workers are still very concerned about COVID because the Omicron variant, the new BA.4, BA.5 variants, these are still concerning to millions of Americans. But the other issue is that retirees are actually unretiring due to investments falling, and now they are looking for more work. Estimates show that in the past year, 1.5 million retirees have actually returned to the labor market. Now, some say this is good. This is really good that people are coming back to work. The problem is some of these people aren't new retirees. Many of these people, of these 1.5 million retirees, many of them have been retired for years, 5, 10 years, but they're coming back to the labor market because their savings is dwindling. It's going down. So that's a big issue. Now, we still have millions of workers each month that are looking for higher wages and better benefits. So this is one of the other problems is they're leaving their jobs looking for something else. But in the meantime, between when they leave and when they find something, there's an average of 2 to 4 weeks. So those people are being thrown into the mix in the 1.9 people or 1.9 jobs per one person. So if you take out those people that are technically left a job to go find something better, really the numbers go up. So not great news there. Now, there is a lot going on right now, and I want to be very clear on this. And based on the jobs report from today, this didn't tell us much. Other than the fact that the Federal Reserve is going to continue on their path, they likely won't deviate for some time. We're probably not going to see a 75-point basis hike. We're not going to see, a 100-point basis, basis hike either. And this is a big issue, is many economists are predicting and believe that the Federal Reserve is making a mistake by not raising rates faster. So we could continue to see inflation tick up, but one thing we will know next week is where it sits. Are we still at 8.5%? Are we up closer to 9%? Or are we coming back down? Some experts are predicting we will be coming back down. It may not be this month, which we'll know in a week. It may not be this month, but it would likely be next month. So we'll see what happens there. Now, I do want to address where Democrats stand right now, because a lot of the talks are on what are Democrats' plans? What are they going to do? How are they going to win more seats, or at least retain the seats that they have in the upcoming midterm elections? Well, here's what we know. Many Democrats are still pushing to get some bills passed, and they want it done now. Well, next week, we know the Senate is going to take up 2 votes. One of the votes will be for the $33 billion towards Ukraine, and the other vote will be on Roe v. Wade. Now, President Biden, he is still contemplating how to forgive student debt of up to $10,000 per borrower. There's discussions of income limits. There's discussions of, did you go and go into debt for, a master's degree or, a professional degree? If so, you may be out of the running. You may not be eligible. But the big discussions lately have been surrounding Senator Joe Manchin, because Senator Joe Manchin is working on a final attempt to get a bipartisan energy deal. Now, here's what this means, and this is where we are currently at. Democrats are letting Senator Joe Manchin work across the aisle. They're letting him work with Republicans in hopes that he can strike a deal. But many are actually worried that not enough Republicans would go for any amount of a bill. It doesn't matter, because they don't want to see an energy bill. And many Democrats are concerned that how this bill is going to be paid for is going to be very hard for them. It's probably going to be a hard no for them. So we'll see if this bill even gets negotiated. But this isn't just a concern that Democrats have either. One Republican senator said that there's actually too much talk on capping emissions. And again, it's a problem for Republicans. There's talking on taxing fossil fuels and subsidizing clean energy to get enough Republicans on Republican votes that this probably is going to happen. There's issues here. There's no way there's going to be enough Republican voters for this, and they say that negotiations are going to go nowhere. So we'll see. But multiple Democrats have said that they believe Senator Joe Manchin is actually using this negotiation as a stalling tactic to simply avoid discussing President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. And Senator Joe Manchin made it very clear that his priority right now is to get a bipartisan deal. It's not to pass another bill through a budget reconciliation that only requires 50 Senate votes. That's not what he wants. He wants a bipartisan deal. And he stated for many months, over a year, that he wants to see more negotiations with the minority party, which is the Republican Party. The problem, though, is Democrats know they don't have much time, especially moving forward, to get a deal done. If a deal is not negotiated before July 4th, then getting something passed before the midterm elections is highly unlikely. The reason for this, after July 4th, lawmakers will go on a recess, obviously to celebrate the 4th of July. Then they will come back. They'll have a couple weeks before their August recess, which is a full month long. Then they'll come back in September and work towards getting a deal done, right? Well, the problem is the elections are in November. Lawmakers are not going to be able to come up with a bipartisan deal and come up with a decent amount of agreement there to get a deal done just 1 or 2 months before the election. It's not going to happen. So July 4th is really our deadline. Now here's something else that's pretty big. I want to talk about the food shortages and the crisis that we are facing with chickens, turkeys, and eggs. Because currently the price of chicken, turkey, and eggs, and also I'll throw in lunch meats as well, they're skyrocketing. And this is all due to the bird flu that is sweeping the nation. So far here in the United States, there's actually been 37 million poultry that have been impacted, and this is actually putting a lot of pressure on the food market. The issue that farmers are having is that under the guidance of the federal government, when one bird tests positive for the bird flu, the entire flock must be destroyed. Now that is decimating, obviously, our food supply. Chicken prices have gone up. Turkey obviously has gone up. Eggs, a lot more expensive, okay? And this is something that many of you guys have said as well, is some of the staples that were very, cost effective was, rice, beans, eggs. Those are staples that you used to have. Now eggs are so expensive that for some people, it's just not affordable. And the other issue that we are facing right now is, or could be facing very soon, is another shortage of grain. According to multiple reports out of Ukraine, Russian forces are actually stealing their grain in masses. And in the past month, I talked about how Russian forces have lit fires to fields to try to ruin crops. Well, they're taking it up a notch, not just ruining the crops, but they're taking grain from Ukraine back to Russia and to Russian Russian areas or whatever, over back to the Donbas region. That's what they're doing. Now, that's causing a lot more issues in Ukraine, but at the same time, it's causing issues around the world as well, because Ukraine is the largest supplier of grain. So, a lot of big issues. Now, here in the U.S., in Canada as well, we do have a good production of grain, but the problem is we can't supply the entire world. Ukraine had the ability to supply almost the entire world. Now, both of these issues, both these situations are extremely troubling, as they're only going to cause an even greater shortage. But again, these shortages that we're seeing, they're nothing new. These are shortages that we've been experiencing over the past couple of years. The only difference now is with Russia and Ukraine and the issues down in with Ukraine trying to get some of their crops and their grain out of the country and to ship it to other countries. Well, Russia's blocking them. So that's kind of where we're at this moment. So that's what's going on right now. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Again, there's so much stuff going on right now. There's so much new information. So I'm trying to figure out a way to put it all together. I don't want to overwhelm you with a 20-30 minute long video, multiple times a day. So my guess is, and I'm still looking into this, and I'd love your thoughts as well, I plan on making some changes here to the channel. I'll probably do a daily update, more stuff here in the US, obviously around the country as well, talk about politics a little bit, but I'll probably start throwing in an economic update to be very specific on certain things within our economy here in the US. So that's one of the things I do plan on doing. I know a lot of people have asked about it, so that is something that I'm highly considering moving forward. I just do not know when I would start. So that's what's happening at this time. Again, as always, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.